They didn't even know what what vessel they were trying to, to take over, to seize. They just looked at it on a blip on the map and said, "Hey, this one's by itself. Let's go for it."
Right.
So they end up walking into a very bad situation for them when we call in the American military, and they know where these guys are from. They know their family members. They know their war, and all this is just intelligence that they've collected. It's not like, they've got these guys' driver's licenses or something to run. I mean, they do all of this intelligence work, that was like a really quick moment in the movie, but I was like, holy crap, it was just more of a, this is how, how much bigger and badder the American military is than anything these guys could even possibly conceive of. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a big point to be made in the movie. Again, not saying that it's right or wrong or, what's evil, what's good. It's just, this is just the reality on the ground. And I think it's very, I think we both agree we wouldn't call this necessarily like a thought-provoking movie in the sense that, there's a lot of action in it. There's, it moves right along. And it's a very matter of fact storytelling. It doesn't have that Hollywood, rewriting, to make you really hate these characters or really love them. They are what they are. They're real people. And that's what, I think, we talked about after the film. I think that, it makes sense that you're starting to get that kind of portrayal of, of our quote unquote enemy combatants, overseas. Somalia is kind of, ever since, the Black Hawk Down story and all of that, it's kind of synonymous with like anti-American Wild West type of an environment. But there are real people living there,
right, who
are just trying to make a living. That's the way it is in Afghanistan. It's the way it was in Iraq. It's the way it is in other, Pakistan, other countries that Iran, for example. It's in these other countries where it feels like, you get the political hype machine where it just feels like, hey, these guys hate America and they're just, all they care about is taking out our way of life. And that's not necessarily the case. There might be leaders in these countries that feel that way, but the people, the Musays of the world, are just trying to make a living and just trying to get through the next day and try to have the best life possible that they can have.
Right. No, I agree. Some other standout actors in this movie. Of course, we have Tom Hanks. We have the lead Somali played by Barkhad Abdi. Catherine Keener's in it for about 5 minutes.
She was brilliant in it, yeah, with the crazy wig.
Yeah, like a Weird Al wig.
I thought it was kind of a late 80s Howard Stern wig or something. It was crazy.
Possibly a poorly done Cher wig. I don't know. I hate to say it, she is playing Andrea Phillips, so I'm sorry, Andrea, if that's what your hair really looks like.
If your hair really looks like that, you need to go see Rocco Stallone.
Yeah. That's a callback to, I don't know, 4 or 5 shows ago.
Hey, everybody knows Rocco Stallone, the hairstylist.
Max Martini, who was recently in Pacific Rim as Hercules Hansen, one of the pilots. He was also in the TV show The Unit. This guy is pretty much going to make a career out of playing a military guy. He was the lead SEAL commander.
Do we know, were the SEAL guys, besides Mr. Martini, were the SEAL guys actual SEALs, or they?
I have a feeling they might have been, because
those guys looked big and hard, like killers, man.
Right. I think they used a lot of actual Navy people. If I remember the credits correctly, there was a lot of military ranks thrown up there.
Yeah.
Probably even that corpsman at the end. She was probably a real, corpsman. It's the best way to get a real performance. I mean,
yeah. No. I mean, again, we talked about it, but the SEALs aren't necessarily like big characters in this, though they play a huge part in the story. They do a good job of, like I said, once these guys are called in, they're going to take care of business.
It was almost like,
you kind of see them just kind of putting on their suits, and
it was almost like the FBI coming in and taking over a crime scene, from like the local police.
Right,
that's almost what it felt like.
Right.
It's like these guys are the professionals. They come in because they took over their command center and everything.
Yeah. And they make a point of showing them do that, and then they make a point as soon as it's over. If you see them like rebooting the program,
right?
Do you notice that on the computer screens? It's like, okay, protocol done. reset, you know.
It was all, like I said, it was all about like doing your job and getting it done. I mean, it that's not like a hammered message, but at the end of the day, when you look at the movie, you know, it's just about people doing their jobs, and you know, only one way to play out. There's a couple of familiar faces that you'll see in the movie that you've seen in other things. A lot of character actors. There was Michael. I think it's Chernus. He played Shane Murphy, who was like his XO. He was in Orange is the New Black as Piper Chapman's brother, and that he's got like a beard and long hair. And throughout the entire movie, I was like, I know who this guy is, but I can't place him, and I couldn't recognize him without his beard and long hair.
You'll recognize the crew.
Yeah.
I reckon I couldn't tell you the crew's names or the actors' names or what they're in offhand right now. But if you're any kind of an avid moviegoer, you will recognize quite a few of the crew members. The guy, the chief in the engine room, I recognized him from stuff, and a couple of the other guys too. So you'll definitely recognize people.
Yeah, all character actors that are very well known that you'll recognize. I think I looked them up on IMDb, and it was just like too long to list, and it was too varied. You know, it wasn't like you'll know this guy from this. No, you'll know him from like 10 things that you've seen where he's played a character, but not necessarily the lead in any of them.
Right.
So overall, I'd give this movie a thumbs up. I don't necessarily think this is like one of those blockbusters that you necessarily have to see in the theater. If you're one of those people who don't mind waiting for things to come out on Blu-ray or Netflix or something, you could probably hold off. I would definitely see this movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't skip it, but, you know, being on the big screen, it's not IMAX, it's not 3D. But if you're looking for a good movie to go see in the theater, if you got, you know, you want to take somebody out, not necessarily a date movie, you know, but just a good, solid movie.
Right, and I think you know, it's gone up against Gravity. It's been out for 2 weekends now, and Gravity's been out for 3. Gravity is still winning the box office. This is the third weekend, I think, for Gravity. And then Captain Phillips has been in second place the last 2 weeks. And I don't necessarily think that's... I mean, I'm sure that the people who funded the movie wanted as much money as they could get out of it. But if you've seen both movies like we have, I don't think there's really any slight to Captain Phillips that it's coming in second to Gravity, because Gravity is the type of movie that people have to see in the theater.
Right. I would almost recommend it. I would almost say, listen, if it comes down to it, now don't get me wrong, Captain Phillips to me is the better movie.
I liked it better as a piece of, you know, cinema.
Right.
When you factor in the story, the acting, everything, I liked it better.
Right. You put these two movies on your screen at home, and Captain Phillips win. However, you put Captain Phillips up against an IMAX 3D version of Gravity, it loses, and that's just the way it is. I mean, the movie experience.
I will say this though, for what it's worth, I felt more compelled during the movie. I had more. I cared more about the little details and stuff. In Gravity, we talked about it last week, so you know, some of the criticisms of that. But with Gravity, I thought it was almost too much of like, oh my God, are they going to get back? At least maybe it was because I knew that Captain Phillips was going to make it. You know,
I mean, the movie was full of tension. You know, it was full of the same peril. You know. We did know the outcome, but I mean it was no slower paced than I would say Gravity.
No, it's well paced, and I think maybe the reason why I was so compelled is I'm somebody who can't help but put myself in the position of the characters that I'm watching, very empathetic when it comes to that. And this was a movie this movie really pops when you do that, because you think, you know, you put yourself in those situations because it's such a realistic account. You can't help but think, what would I be doing in this? Oh my God, what if I was that guy? You know, I never felt that way with Gravity. I guess maybe because it just felt so alien. You know, I don't really have any way to, you know, I didn't really have that kind of empathy for Clooney and Bullock like I did for Hanks and Musset. You know. Because it's just the kind of movie that you can't help but kind of immerse yourself in that situation.
Right.
So in that, it was more compelling to me.
So I guess our overall thought is that it's a great movie. You do need to see it at some point. Maybe not required to see in the theater. As a matter of fact, Rush is probably still out there. Probably another movie that's better.
Machete
on the big
Kills
screen.
is still out there.
Do not see that movie. do not see that movie.
This is. I did want to mention this because we talked about Machete Kills last week, and we were both very disappointed in it. I will say that this is like the exact opposite of Machete Kills.
It's like a palate cleanser.
Yeah, like you can't even. Yeah, exactly. It could not be any more different.
Oh, we needed this movie badly.
It's like the difference between milk chocolate and a dog turd.
Yes.
And I'll let you fill in the blanks on which is which.
Okay, let me think about it. Okay, I got it. Yep,
Okay.
I got it.
Now the dog may disagree with you, but she hasn't seen both movies yet, so.
So I'd say that's our review of Captain Phillips. Oh, by the way, do check DTMMBmedia.com for our graphic upcoming for this show.
Now there's one thing, I've let it go this long, and the thing that has to be mentioned here is that Vince, our lovely co-host here, is a dead ringer for Tom Hanks.
Now, I don't necessarily think that's true.
It is.
There's certain angles and situations. This has been an ongoing thing since A League of Their Own.
If you've ever seen the movie A League of Their Own, starring Tom Hanks and Gina Davis, among others, then you know exactly what Vince looks like. He looks like Tom Hanks in that movie. And he looks a lot like Captain Phillips because Tom grew a goatee.
Yeah.
His goatee's a lot grayer than yours.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, go and check out the graphic at DTMMBmedia.com because I think you'll definitely notice that I don't look anything like the Somali pirate. But I think you might find that Vince's face superimposed on Captain Phillips doesn't look a whole lot different than Tom Hanks is that same character.
There's an illusion there. Let's move on to some trailer trash.
In a world where most of the time the trailer is better than the movie itself, two renegade loose cannon reviewers dig deep into their knowledge to save the world. Review trailers. This is Trailer Trash.
All right. Well, first up today in our trailer trash segment where we kind of let you know some trailers that are out there and what's coming out here next week or soon, give you a kind of idea whether you should see it or not. Our first movie this week is Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, starring Johnny Knoxville.
Let's have some fun.
Tomorrow, if you're not jumping out of your seat, then you're not at the funniest movie of the year. Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, rated R.
86-year-old Irving Zisman is on a journey across America with the most unlikely companions. His 8-year-old grandson Billy in Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. This October, the signature Jackass character Irving Zisman, played by Johnny Knoxville, and Billy, played by Jackson Nickel, will take movie audiences along for the most insane hidden camera road trip ever captured on camera. Along the way, Irving will introduce the young and impressionable Billy to people, places, and situations that give new meaning to the term child rearing. The duo will encounter male strippers, disgruntled child beauty pageant contestants, and their equally disgruntled mothers, funeral home mourners, biker bar patrons, and a whole lot of unsuspecting citizens. Directed by Jeff Tremaine from Jackass, and again stars Johnny Knoxville, Jackson Nickel, and Spike Jonze, who's the director, also plays an old woman in the film.
Now, we have seen the trailer for this, of course, just now and earlier before, and it looks pretty funny. The scene with the child beauty contest is kind of the parody of that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's kind of a Borat type of thing where the people don't know what's going on. And if you've ever, let's face it, if you've seen Jackass, you've seen this bit, dressing up like an old guy and falling asleep in your motorized wheelchair as you're crossing the street or something like that. But this takes it to a whole other level, especially bringing the kid in there and just yeah, it looks completely over the top and completely insane.
And I don't know where they found this kid, but he seems like a very, as far as child actors go, he doesn't seem like he's going to be that annoying kid. I mean, he's into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious. I mean, is